Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. According to previews for The Young and the Restless, Kyle Abbott will experience some terror when cell service is restored. Let's speak about how things will unfold throughout the week of July 28th to August 1st because Claire Newman's Cole Howard disclosure will be devastating. Fans of YNR are aware that Kyle and the other visitors have been stuck for what seems like an eternity without a cell signal. Everyone has been isolated from the outside world, with the exception of Amanda Sinclair and Kane Ashby. Naturally, Kyle has been missing Claire a lot and is looking forward to hearing more about Cole's health. Given that Claire's father was eventually moved back to Memorial, Kyle will probably get positive news regarding Cole's recuperation. But when Kane eventually resolves the cell service issue, Kyle will take a devastating hit. It won't take Kyle long to conclude that Cole's health declined to the point of death due to all of Claire's voicemails and unanswered texts. As soon as Kyle recovers from the shock, he will start to worry about Claire's ability to handle life without him. Without a sure, Kyle will regret traveling to play games with Audra Charles and instead wish he had stayed home and supported Claire. Even though Kyle felt proud and triumphant after exposing Audra's deceptive plan, that won't really matter right now. Contacting Claire and providing consolation will be Kyle's top priorities once cell service is restored. Additionally, Kyle will want to apologize for traveling so far away during Claire's darkest moments. Kyle will undoubtedly feel bad, particularly if Claire shares that she had a parting belief that he would notice her need and return sooner. Kyle will of course clarify that he has been stranded on a mountain without mobile coverage for a long time. When Claire learns of Damian Kane's death and all the other mayhem that has been occurring in Nice, she should be prepared for a shock of her own. Because of Victor Newman's breakup plan, Kyle might wait to inform Claire about his major gotcha moment with Audra and how she was attempting to woo him. Perhaps Kyle will decide that adding more stress to Claire at this time, when she is already dealing with such a significant loss, would be cruel. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, there will be time for Audra-related surprises later. However, for the time being, Kyle might call Claire back and concentrate on comforting her over Cole's passing. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, we must consider whether it was a mistake to murder off Chance Chancellor. Since Chance's last breath in the July 28th episode, fans have been responding to the news of this character's demise. Chance is leaving for a good reason, of course, since Connor Floyd has a new job. Floyd is already filming Days of Our Lives as the new Chad DiMera, replacing Billy Flynn in that role. But that doesn't mean YNR had to eliminate Chance. It would have been equally simple to let Chance leave town because he hadn't been on screen much in recent months. Chance has the option to go on another covert assignment somewhere else and come back later with a different appearance. Instead of giving Chance the sudden death and destroying the Chancellor family lineage, the show might have kept the character alive for a recast. Given that Chance is dying as part of this ridiculous murder mystery plot in Nice, many viewers are furious on social media. Since Chance's conflict with Carter led to his deadly gunshot wound, everything seems a bit unfair and senseless to the character. Nina Webster and Chance's other family members had to grieve him because he was thought to be dead in 2021, so it hasn't been that long. When Connor Floyd took up the part, Chance later appeared alive, but because it involves bleeding out on TV, this death feels more definitive. But in the world of soap operas, anything is possible. No one can rule out Chance's return at some point because other characters have died in similar final ways and returned years later. If you ask the fans who are whining online, Chance's death is the real deal for the time being and might even be viewed as an error. According to previews for The Young and the Restless, Chance's friends and family will have to deal with this difficult loss. Follow along for more details on the devastating blow that awaits them. Chance Chancellor will die from a gunshot wound, and Carter will subsequently commit suicide, according to The Young and the Restless recap for Monday, July 28th. The security guard who was holding Nick and Sharon Newman captive will rush over to announce that they have escaped while Kane Ashby is pressuring Carter to confess to Carter's murder. Victor Newman, who lives nearby, will leave Chance to handle the Carter matter after learning that Nick has been hurt. Carter will eventually flash back to each stage of the plan as Kane presses him once more to tell him the complete truth about Damian Kane's death. Carter will be furious when Chance shows up, even though he will have expected Kane to help him leave the country covertly and start again. Carter will understand that Kane truly intends to allow the police to arrest him and that this was a ruse. Carter won't be satisfied with Kane's suggestion that perhaps Amanda Sinclair will take his case. Carter will draw a revolver and use Lily Winters as a human shield when she appears. Carter will go on a tirade about foreseeing his boss's needs and going above and beyond for Kane, who was meant to have a lovely reunion with Lily. Damian will now feel as though Kane is betraying him, even though the intention was to remove him as a barrier. Chance and Kane will follow Carter after he tries to escape through the maze and drags Lily away as his hostage. Carter will finally block Billy Abbott's route when he sees him holding Lily at gunpoint. In order to persuade Carter to release Lily, Kane will go up to him and offer himself as a hostage. Lily will scream when she realizes that Carter intends to kill Kane after he has his gun in his grasp. Chance will intervene between Carter and Kane at that point. Chance and Carter will struggle over the gun, which will then go off as a result. As everyone rushes to Chance's aid, he will be shot and fall to the ground. Chance, however, will realize it's too late and pass away immediately. The carnage and Nice will eventually come to an end when Carter shoots himself, causing a gunshot to resound nearby. Lauren Baldwin will then urge Nikki Newman to avoid making the mistake of signing away Chancellor in Monday's YNR episode. At last, Nikki will insist on seeing Nick before they proceed with the transaction. Nikki is going to lose it over all the blood on the floor as Amanda takes her and Lauren to the room where Nick and Sharon were previously held captive. Sally Spectra will make the decision to hike down a short distance on the train to check on the track's readiness. Since the rails were completed a few days ago, Sally will ultimately learn that the workers are departing. As Nick continues to manage his injury, Sharon will be by his side. Nick will eventually encourage Sharon to lean in closer so he may surprise her with a kiss. Victor will clarify that Kane will pay after he boards the train and receives information on Nick's condition. Before the cell service is restored, Nikki will also dash to Nick's side. A helicopter will be heard shortly after Sharon contacts Adam Newman to inform him that he is sending assistance for Nick. Amanda will eventually respond to the fresh deaths by calling the police to Kane's estate. Amanda will give him some consolation since she will know that Kane never intended for any of this to occur. Lily will express regret to Kane for accusing him of murder. Lily won't believe that he can do it, regardless of how much he has changed. Kane will contend that since he still loves her, he hasn't really changed all that much. Kane still intends to return to Genoa City and will not give up on Lily in spite of the enemies he has made and the new difficulties he is experiencing. Jack Abbott will be furious with Kane for playing God with their lives once he and Diane Jenkins Abbott find out what has transpired. Jack will be concerned because Chance's passing will ruin Jill Abbott and Nina Webster. When Phyllis Summers learns of Chance and Carter's tragic deaths, she will believe Billy has changed his mind about collaborating with Kane and pursuing Chancellor. But out of respect for Chance's memory, Billy will be more focused than ever on getting Chancellor back. According to previews for The Young and the Restless, Billy will ask Phyllis for assistance with that. We'll keep you updated on their partnership. According to Tuesday, July 29th teasers for The Young and the Restless, Lily Winters will inform Nate Hastings about Damian Kane's passing. Let's discuss what will happen on the CBS soap opera as Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles will also be entering the danger zone. Kane Ashby is going to get a lot of criticism now that the mayhem in Nice has become even more deadly. People will be lining up to accuse Kane of causing the circumstances that resulted in the deaths of Damian and Chance Chancellor. Since Carter will undoubtedly have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, Amanda Sinclair will deal with the police and see to it that the remains are transported to the coroner's office. However, on Tuesday's YNR episode, Kane's strongest supporters will be Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers. When Kane invited everyone to his estate for a party and the revelation of his true identity, he had no idea that there would be so much violence. Phyllis and Billy will also feel that it is unfair for Carter to receive such a negative reaction because Kane had no idea what he was capable of. It goes without saying that Billy and Phyllis will have reasons for playing for the Kane defense team. It will primarily be Billy and Phyllis's attempt to curry favor with Kane for the Chancellor alliance that they both still desire. Their conflict will take a dangerous turn with Kyle and Audra. Could Audra be correct in assuming that Kyle secretly wants her, since things are going to get dangerous? An heated altercation could turn emotional because there is a fine line between love and hate. However, it's possible that the perilous turn of events will involve Kyle and Audra learning about the most recent bloodshed. The news that Chance and Carter have both passed away may cause Audra and Kyle to feel upset. In any event, after mobile service is restored, Lily will be the one to get in touch with Nate Hastings. Nate will be saddened to learn that Damien was slain, especially since he will understand how tough this would be for Amy Lewis. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Nate will struggle to comprehend Damien's unexpected death. Follow along for more on how he responds. On The Young and the Restless, Sharon is being held captive once more, this time with Nick. Image, CBS. Carter took Sharon and Nick to a filthy room. Nick requested Sharon's release. Sharon denied any involvement in Damien's passing. Later, Carter promised they would eat a delectable casserole. He secured the door. Nick shouted and banged on the door. A flashback in black and white showed Sharon trapped in the room where Martin had imprisoned her. Returning to the present, she informed Nick that she would not allow him to be dragged away alone. People are aware that they have been taken away, Nick noted. He promised to keep Sharon safe. Nick was shocked that he had brought Sharon along on this escape. In an attempt to lighten the mood, Sharon quipped that Nick had made a small mistake in judgment. Sharon acknowledged that she wasn't as composed as she appeared. Nick knocked on the door once more. According to Sharon, being imprisoned alongside someone is preferable than being by yourself. Even Phyllis? Nick inquired. Yes, even Phyllis, Sharon said after hesitating. Sharon was informed by Nick that they had previously been imprisoned in a room together. Kane might be upset with Nick because he didn't invite him to all of his weddings, Nick joked. Sharon questioned whether Kane was merely playing tricks on them. Nick claimed to have a plan, but he was unsure of what it was. Kane was clever and crafty, Nick added. Sharon concurred with Nick that their large social circle hasn't helped them deal with Kane. Nick implied that Kane had a grand scheme of some sort. According to Sharon, Kane was keeping them in order to obtain Chancellor Industries. Nick summarized Kane's activities, pointing out that he purchased Genoa City real estate. Nick tried to exit by hammering on the door once more. Sharon became anxious. Reminiscent of their bus ride through London with Christian, Faith, and Noah, Nick consoled Sharon. Sharon observed that Nick was in danger this time and that she was once more confined against her choice. After Nick assured Sharon that nothing would happen to her, Sharon gave him a hug. While searching for Chance in a train cabin, a nervous Audra bumped into Victor. Victor urged her to stay. He wanted to know whether there had been any developments in her connection with Kyle and reminded her of their agreement. By telling Victor that Kane wanted to participate in the perfume competition with Audra and Kyle, Audra attempted to reassure him. Audra was asked by Victor why she hadn't sparked the fuse earlier. When Audra warned Victor that Kyle would believe he had the upper hand, she was expecting him to brag that he was on her. Audra assured Victor that he would receive his results. Michael then asked to speak with Victor since he had urgent news, interrupting them. Victor warned Audra that all bets were off if she didn't deliver by tonight. Michael joked that he would not inquire as to the nature of that. "It's none of your business," joked Victor. Michael informed Victor that their current predicament outweighs their recent argument. Michael informed Victor that Nick and Sharon were placed under house arrest by Carter and an armed guard. Victor inquired as to Kane's location. He was curious as to whether Chance was aware of this. Victor bounded off on his own, despite Michael's offer to accompany him to confront Kane and offer legal counsel. Lauren then arrived, glad to see her husband. Michael gave her an update on his encounter with Victor. "Victor has no idea what loyalty is," yelled an irate Lauren. Michael informed Lauren that Victor had gone to face Kane. Lauren questioned whether it was legal in France or anywhere else to keep Nick under house arrest. Michael remembered that Kane would need Michael to carry out his intentions. That must be the reason they were there, Lauren surmised. Michael questioned whether Nick's house detention was a component of a larger scheme. Kane wanted Chancellor Industries, Michael noted. When Chancellor had his empire, Lauren couldn't see why he was the huge endgame. According to Michael's theory, Chancellor Industries, Jill, and Colin are connected. Lauren pondered what the potential secret might be. Although Michael was unaware, he had a hunch that Kane's desire for Chancellor was more complex than first appeared. Lauren pointed out that if their child was in danger, other people would also become agitated, not just Victor. She questioned Michael about what he could do to secure Sharon and Nick's release. Michael claimed that until the police showed up, his wrists were restrained. Nikki discovered Kane after stumbling through the tangle of bushes. She confronted him about his security crew taking Nick. Kane defended Nick's imprisonment by claiming that it was advised by his staff and lawyer. Nikki insisted on the release of Nick and Sharon. Kane was scolded by Nikki, who claimed that Nick wouldn't have concealed the knife in his room if he wanted Kane dead. Nikki angrily told Kane that pursuing her children was a very different matter than pursuing her company. When the cops showed there and Kane produced proof that Nick was innocent, he promised Nikki that he would free Nick and Sharon. Kane was accused of setting Nick up by Nikki. "You have my son in captivity," Nikki yelled. She reminded Kane that he was treating Damien's death like a game and that he had separated everyone. Nikki questioned how Kane, like his father, grew to be cruel and terrible. Kane requested that Nikki refrain from discussing Colin. "I don't want any of this to happen," he said. "Kane only values what he can get out of people," Nikki shouted. She inquired as to what he would like in return for her son's liberty. Victor broke off their argument. "Kane Ashby. See me," Victor yelled. Victor insisted on the release of Nick and his friend Sharon. He claimed that Kane was unwilling to learn the consequences of noncompliance. Victor questioned Kane about if he was using Sharon and Nick as leverage to obtain Chancellor Industries. "I want to stay alive," Kane said. Victor blamed Nick and accused Kane of killing a man. Victor said, "Kane, you know he wouldn't come after you." After saying, "You have hell to pay if you don't release him," Carter cut them off and said something into Kane's ear. Kane left after apologizing. Then Victor got out as well. Jack and Diane told Kyle that Carter and a man who looked like he worked security were escorting Nick and Sharon away. Diane was relieved to see Kyle doing well. Kyle revealed that he exposed Audra's plot to deceive him. He claimed that after dropping the hammer, he must now ensure that she will never get better. Kyle told his parents that Audra had cheated on him. He told both his parents that he refused. According to Kyle, Audra pretended to be close to Damien by using his murder as a ruse. Diane questioned Audra's decision to jeopardize her relationship with Nate. According to Kyle, it's because she's disgusting. Jack questioned Kyle about why he didn't approach Diane and him for assistance. Kyle claimed to be knowledgeable. He was aware that Victor would not change his mind no matter what he or Claire did. Kyle claimed that what he did was necessary. "What did Kyle promise Victor?" Diane inquired. Kyle disclosed that he made his promise to Victor in paper, saying that he would give him $5 million and leave Genoa City if he ever hurt Claire. "I would never break Claire's heart," he added. Diane hypothesized that Victor tried to woo him by luring Audra in order to get him to break the agreement. Kyle couldn't understand Kane's belief that Nick wanted him dead. Kyle said, "This entire trip is crazy." Diane noted that when Victor learns that Kane abducted Nick, he will be incensed. Jack advised Kyle to avoid Victor. Victor had gone too far, according to Kyle, and it's important to not undervalue his rage. Carter then passed Jack, Diane, and Kyle. Following Carter, Victor went by them and informed Kyle that he didn't have time to speak with him. Jack advised Kyle to avoid Victor.